Welcome to the Virtual Lacrosse Summit, week 2, fall 2021. Really excited to bring this presentation to you guys. Some really cool video. As I mentioned a couple minutes ago, I've really loved coaching women's lacrosse. Got a chance to coach my daughter and her high school team over the past 3 years. And a lot of the video that we're going to watch comes from that. A lot of what I learned comes from that, but a lot of it also comes from men's lacrosse, box lacrosse, and a lot comes from pickup lacrosse. Hold on one sec while I turn off my, make sure I put my phone on airplane and turn off my emails. Okay, so I will be able to answer questions, except my eyes stink. So sometimes it's hard for me to see and I kind of get on a roll. But I will try to answer questions along the way. And what I want to do now is share this document. And we're going to kind of go through this document. I know it's not the most exciting looking thing here, but the content here is really important. And then we've got a lot of video to go through. The principles-based offense. I grew up with thinking of a field lacrosse paradigm of clear space, dodge, draw slides, move the ball, and find openings. And I've really come to believe that the box lacrosse paradigm of picking on and off ball and moving the ball creates more unpredictability for the offense and makes it harder than for the defense. And that's really where the genesis of all this comes from, is just my passion for and interest in studying box lacrosse. So let's start off with these principles. You got possession, passing, picking on and off ball simultaneously, spacing, and reads. So I'm going to go back and sort of kick this off with the first one, possession. You guys, we all know that possession is key. Now, so many people want to run and gun. And look, I think it's great. It's fun. But do run and gun teams really win championships? Maybe if they're just that much better than everybody. But really, you must be able to possess the ball. You must be able to grind out possessions, wear another team down. And there's a lot of really important elements that I want to share with you. The first one is probably shot selection. Shot selection is arguably the most important principle, because if you're shooting poor shots, you're going to score at a lower percentage. And in women's lacrosse, scoring at a high percentage is so important because the other team is going to score at a high percentage. You must be efficient. So what is a good shot? Well, it really has to do with angle. We want to take shots with sticks to the middle. It is proven in men's lacrosse, statistically, it is proven all over the place where shots with sticks to the middle score at a higher percentage than shots with sticks to the outside. I've got some really interesting and compelling data on the women's side too, that I'll see if I can track down, but I don't want to spend too much time on that. Feed selection, same thing. If we're jamming feeds into people that don't have great shots just because they can catch it. So often people dodge alleys and they feed alley dodges. They feed alley cuts. They dodge alleys and shoot alleys. You're just not going to score at a high enough percentage. Handling pressure is a part of possession. This is really important because a lot of teams are going to try to bully you. And if you can deal with their pressure and still maintain possession, run your offense and grind them out, their pressure will subside and you will crack them. This concept right here of don't look to feed pick and rolls. This is one of the most important concepts. And it's very, very different from the way I used to understand two-man game. And that's because I used to think running two-man game was about trying to score off your two-man game. We're going to get more into this later. Yes, sometimes a pick and roll will be wide open, but mostly look to feed a third player who can feed a nation's look and keep the offense flowing. This is so important. I want to The way I tried to explain it to my team was, it's like we're playing keep away from the defense in a dangerous part of the field, ideally inside and very close to the 8. Possession. When we all know possession matters, but one of the things I think that's so important to understand about the principles-based offense is that if possession is your principle, then you can keep coming back to it and focus on it. And you might say, but we do that anyways. And I would have said the same thing. But what happens when you start running sets where, okay, we're going to dodge from here, we're going to clear, here's the look. People want to make the look. When you run a play, when you run a set, you end up prioritizing the look that you're trying to teach them over the principle of, we need to take great shots. We need to grind out possessions. We need to only feed what will be great shots. All right, let's talk a little bit about passing. First of all, assisted shots score at a higher percentage than unassisted shots. Moving the ball, getting assisted goals, we all know it's important. We all want that. But, it's funny because everybody is always thinking about draw slides, beat your man, draw slides, beat your man. We're going to do that. We're definitely going to beat people. And we probably will draw some slides and double teams. But if we get the ball moving, we can then, and we use our 2-man games, we're going to be able to, if you move the ball in the middle of a 2-man game, your on-ball 2-man game instantly becomes an off-ball 2-man game. Your off-ball 2-man game instantly becomes an on-ball, what I call approach 2-man game. It forces the defenders on ball to guard nations and give and go cuts, which then disables them from the next responsibility of their off-ball defensive help. So what I mean by that is, if you move the ball right in the middle of a 2-man game and we've got a nation's cut and a give and go, those 2 defensive players cannot help on their next role of helping adjacent. When you run a 2-man game pick and roll and you try to feed a pick and roll, the defense is going to rotate to it. They can see it coming. When you throw it to a third player, they cannot do that. And it holds defenders in a really interesting 2-pass away help position that we'll get into in a second. Moving the ball, swinging the ball, opens up the middle. The defense is going to crowd the middle as much as they can. Open up the middle. Getting the ball low spreads the defense out. A defense role changes on every pass. It creates tempo and chemistry. Ball movement spreads the defense out. It is so important. Okay, picking on and off ball simultaneously, constantly in 2-man and 3-man actions. Okay, why is picking so important? Okay, there are some stats here that I'm going to share with you. This is a summary recap slide from Joe Keegan's presentation. Some stats that I've referred to a second ago, but we'll go over again. Shooting percentages are higher on assisted shots. Shooting percentages are higher with your stick to the middle. Assist rates are higher with a pick. Assist rates are higher in dodging from wings or X than it is from out top, which is why our angles are so important. 2-man games on wings have the highest assist rates. Assisted shots score at a higher rate than unassisted shots. Assisted rates go up. Why? Because of the concept of addition by subtraction. When there's a dodge 1-on-1 and the defense slides to it, it leaves 5 defenders to guard 6. When it's a 2-man game and the defense has to send a third player, it leaves 4 defenders to guard 5. And if it's a 3-man game, it leaves 3 defenders to guard 4. The stick to the middle rates are higher. And the bottom line is, stick to the middle rates make all of the difference in your shooting percentages. Let me get this. What's going on here? There we go. Addition by subtraction, I just went over that. There's more assisted shots, more shots with sticks to the middle. It's easier to get 2 players on 1 in 2-man game than it is in dodging and drawing slides. Why? Because if 1 player switches and 1 player stays, that means there's 2 on 1. Off ball, it's even easier. It is so much harder for the defense to guard off ball 2-man game than it is for them to guard off ball cuts. A 1-on-1 cut is easier to guard than a 2-man game where if 1 person switches and 1 person stays, 2 are on 1. It forces the D to read and communicate. It changes matchups. And it ultimately will force the defense to either help and leave people wide open backside, or it's going to force them to just chase their man all over. All right, let's talk about spacing. Don't jam up the middle by hanging out in the middle. We don't want a player in the middle. We want to be able to attack the middle. Now, the 8 kind of naturally makes this happen for women's lacrosse. But what a lot of people do in women's lacrosse that I want to, they do it in men's lacrosse too, but they cut off of some sort of a 2-man action and they keep cutting in there and they cut across the middle of the field. As soon as you realize you're not open, get out of there. This 2-man game spacing is a part of that. You don't want to spread out too far because we want to continuously use actions together. If you're too far apart, it takes too long. If you're too close and standing there, the defense it just clumps up in a poor spacing. Learning 3-man same side nations looks spreads the defense out and creates time for off-ball actions. This is really important. This is why I like 3-man sides better than 2. One of the reasons why I like 3-man sides better than 2-man sides. Dynamic 2-man movement is more difficult than these slow movements. We'll talk about that. And then facilitating swings by catching it wide. This is so important. We don't want to jam ourselves up by cutting to the middle and seeing and receiving the ball on the move to the middle, because it jams up our feeding spacing, our dodging spacing, and the cutting spacing in the dodging spacing from the other side. We want to attack from the wings and get to the middle. We have, like I said, better feeding angles for nations and give and goes, and it doesn't jam up the tempo if we cut all the way to the middle. The last portion of this is reads, and I'm not going over all these. First of all, some of these are like a little top secret, so we're gonna have to hold off. But the reads, there's a lot of reads, and the reads is where your upside are. Now, on the one hand, there aren't that many reads. On the other hand, there's a lot of detail in understanding how to read the defense. So, but let's just sort of talk about the basics of reads here. The basic reads. The most important one, I think, is reading, do we need to move the ball? So if there's a 2-man game going on with 2 of your teammates, somebody needs to facilitate, if not 2 players, to facilitate that ball movement. That to me is the most important read of the offense. Facilitating that. Priority number 1 is provide a swing outlet during 2-man games. Same side nations looks are great too. That's when I was referring to 2 outlets. The receiver should read the 2-man game and look to feed these looks if they're there, and you can see if they're there before you get it, so you can make that read as the outlet. I want you to think about this. If you're the outlet and you see a right-handed pass down, pick down, a dodger coming over the top, and they're swinging it to you, you can tell if there was a switch or not. If there was a switch, there's a good chance the nations is going to be there. You can read that before you get it. Likewise, if there's no switch, the give and go will likely be there. Okay? Another really important basic read, look to work with a teammate. This is so important because you know what? If you don't start working with teammates, then there's really nothing much to read. So start working on and off ball in 2-man and 3-man situations rather than standing there. If you're not in the middle of facilitating a movement, a ball movement, facilitating a swing, start looking to work with a teammate. I just cannot stress this enough. It is so important. If you're not immediately facilitating ball movement, do not wait. Work with a teammate in a 2-man situation. Example, if you, all right, so I just went through that. If you are not immediately open on any cut, do not keep cutting. I just talked about this earlier. Come back and start working with a teammate again in a 2-man situation. This is so important because we need more actions. It is absolutely fine if the defense successfully covers an action. We're just going to hit them with another one and hit them with another one and hit them with another one. Here's another really important read. When things are feeling jammed, swing it and get it low. When things are jammed up, it's usually because the ball stayed in one side of the field too long, or it's swung over and the ball stayed up high. The defense will spread out, and this is why some of those 3-man same-side nations are so important. If the offense is being pressured, swing it and get it low, and the defense will compress by the time the ball swings back. The way teams are going to try to play you at times is they're going to pressure the crap out of you and try to get you to abandon your ball movement and your keep away concepts and get you to just go to the rack and feed it and make a play. When what you need to do is be able to have the patience to swing it, attack, and swing it again. Okay, this is a really, really important one right here. Off-ball picks must happen inside the 8 in order to give cutters. I cannot tell you how often I watch actions occurring outside the 8, and they're close to useless. Not totally, but if they're 2 or 3 or 5 yards outside the 8, they're useless. If you're at the 12 and your defender's at the 8, hate to say it, you might be open, but you're not going to be a threat to score. Your actions, your off-ball actions, if the ball's over with the lefty side, the righty actions want to happen in the 8 because they have to guard you at 360 degrees. The same way in basketball, you can get sort of these concepts of like flare type looks. And so in what I mean, let me just actually, I'm going to draw a hoop here. Let's just draw a lane. Okay, here's a lane. You'll see like a pin down, and you'll see like Steph Curry hanging right here and his man on him right here. There's just no way that Steph Curry isn't going to beat his man to that spot. And if his man tries to beat him to the spot, then he'll cut back door and have a dunk. So he can't. And if his man goes that side, then he flares out for a corner 3. And if his man follows him, then he curls. And that's what you can get. You can't get that look out here because if you're out, now Steph can shoot it from there. But in women's lacrosse, outside the 8, you can't shoot it. I just can't stress enough this important read. And then the other really, really important read is the closer you are to your defender, the more influence you will have over them. What do I mean by influence? I mean that if you lift your stick, you'll get their sticks up in the air. If you jab, you can get them to step with you. If you're far away, and then this is on ball and off ball, they have to respect your movements, and you therefore have more influence over them. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the basics of 2-man reads. 2-man reads are the same for on ball as off ball, and it is critical to watch, listen to the defense during 2-man games to know how to attack it. This is interesting, but seals should be the most common action. Seals will oftentimes precede picks and slips, and off-ball seals are killer. We'll go more into this, but let's just sort of look at the basic reads. If they switch, we slip. If they stay, we slip the pick. If they stay, we stick the pick. If they go under the pick, we look to shoot. If they fight over the pick, we invite them over the pick. If they overplay us, we refuse the pick. If they double the pick, we slip. Now, the one thing I would say here is that we probably are going to steal on those switches every bit as much as slip. But slips are awesome. But seals, I'm going to get into that, but seals are incredible because when you seal, you will create that scenario that I just drew of Steph Curry. When you seal somebody down in the 8, you can manufacture a scenario where you can cut it 360 degrees and your defender is going to have to either meet you on the other side or trail you. And once you start doing that, the defense will freak out and your slips will get more open. All right. I'm going to now move on to the video. There's so many reads. We're not going to go over all of them here on paper, but I wanted to kind of get those basic ones down. Okay, so now let's watch some film from this. Hold on, I'm going to hold off on that for one sec because there's a couple of questions that I figure I'll ask here or answer right here if anybody has them. What is the best way for wing attackmen to read an offense from the wing and cut without ruining or wasting space on offense? From Weston. I'm not sure I understand, but I think what you're saying is, how do you figure out if you're cutting, if you're jamming it up or not? It's very simple. If you're covered, stop cutting. If you've passed the middle, stop cutting. You might be wide open and no one's ready to feed it to you. If you realize you're not getting the ball and you're in the middle, go back and do another action. Does anybody have any other questions here while we're waiting? If you want to go ahead and throw them out there, I can answer. Otherwise, I'm going to go to the film right now. But I think that's the only one right now. Okay. All right. So let's go to the film. I know that was that's like the boring part, but it's so important to kind of set the stage here. From Coach Andrew Joyce, these could be the same principles in men's lacrosse, correct? Yes, exact same principles. The difference between the two games are just the numbers and some of the rules, but the reads are identical. The concepts are the same. Obviously, there's no 8 in men's lacrosse, so they can pack it in more, but there's also only 6 players, so we can have an advantage there. All right, so let's just go back to the film here. So this game was the state quarterfinal game, Thunder Ridge High School versus Cherry Creek High School. We had lost to Cherry Creek early in the season. They had face guarded one of our better players early in the season. And we were preparing for that while we were trying to just run a regular offense. And you're going to see a lot of really good things here. I also want you to know that in this game, we had no subs. We had 12 players. And not only that, we had 4 players go both ways the whole game. So we had a really good freshman draw taker who took the draws, but we needed to get our more experienced players back on defense and up on offense. So that draw taker took draws and did a great job for us, but she also was on attack when we were on defense. And when she would help us clear it. And then 4 players would transition down to offense. And then she'd be on defense when we were on attack. And she would help us ride. And then she would buy us time to transition back to play defense. So you're going to see us playing very deliberately here because of the whole idea of being able to grind it out and also not having a lot of subs. So let's check this out. We generally played with 3 righties, 3 lefties, and an X player. We wanted to have the flexibility of, and if I had more time and more seasons, I probably would have figured out a 4-man rotation with our X player and our 3 righties, because it does that setup in and of itself. The 1 X player there consistently actually gives a defense advantage, which I don't love, but we just didn't quite get there yet. So here the ball is swinging and, you're going to see basically just, you know, a quick dodge and nothing really there. But you're going to start seeing these righties sealing. This girl is sealing right here. That girl is sealing her man. And this girl had a face guard on her also that we were able to break relatively easily. Now these lefties are going to be trying to move. The ex-girl's trying to hang her guy up, and we're trying to get some little three-man actions going of seals, slips, and picks. You're going to see right here on the lefty side. This is something I reiterated a lot. But you see this girl, she's sealing, and she's doing a nice job sealing off space for this lefty to come around. But she's at the 8. And this is one of the main things, is you just don't want to have these actions happening at the 8, because then they don't have to respect your pop out. Now, it did help us facilitate a swing. I also want to show you the read here. Watch this lefty right here. She's cutting and she's reading her man. You see how her man goes under the pick and how she flares back? That look, you guys, is a deadly look, especially if it's happening inside the 8. So the read she made of her man was actually super high level. It's just that the seal itself was happening higher than I would want it to happen. So nothing much happens. We talk about this paradigm of playing on ball and off ball two-man games. Eventually, you're going to have an opportunity to dodge somebody, and it makes it harder. I don't want people to think that you're never really going to dodge in this offense, because you definitely will. So we got a seal going on right there. We've got a swing going on right there. Looks like so this is a really interesting one. So they were face guarding her for most of the game, but clearly not on that play. But check this out now. We've got a scenario where this girl's sealing her own man. And I also want you to notice that this girl, we started doing this in this game. And frankly, I went back and watched this last night. We call this a bailout, because we used to play a lot of two-man games and the defense would just help over. So what we started doing a lot more of is playing three-man games. And when we wanted to clear space, we could just bail her out and then make it a little bit harder for them to help. Frankly, we did it too much in this game, and it wasn't by design. I taught them how to do it, and this girl just bailed out more than I probably would have wanted her to. But I also want you to watch the reads here. That was a goal. How was the defense playing this? Well, they were trying not to switch. Looks like maybe they were face guarding that girl. Maybe that was the deal. They were switching up their face guard. But she's playing tight. This girl is going under, and the dodger here invites this player to come step up, and all of a sudden she realized she had the lane. That is as simple. That is reading the defense and slowing down and reading it. And honestly, you guys, this is where your upside is. Now, I want you to watch this. There's another seal going on right here, which is awesome, because when you seal, you can create that trailing situation where they either have to go under and you can flare, or they have to follow you. But what's the common denominator? Our lefties too often sealed at or outside the 8. So it just didn't create as much of a problem. But there was pretty good actions going on all over the place. So let's continue to go. Look at that read right there. So watch this lefty sealing right there. This other lefty sneaking in. She steps back, facilitating a swing. The ball gets low. It's opening things up a little bit. So we've got some decent low action going on. Now I want you to watch this read. So here's actions going on inside the 8. Now this girl on the backside is right here. She is being face guarded, okay? And so there's 2 seals occurring right there. One seal, another seal inside the 8. And what she does is slowly sets her man up and reads it. If you cut too fast, you can't read it. It's just that simple. So what does she do? She peeks her head right around the other side, draws the girl around the pick to meet her on the other side, and then backdoors and is open by 1.5 miles. One thing I really don't love is that this girl, well, she was trying to stay backside of the ball, which is actually pretty good. On the other hand, I would like to, this is why I don't love having one player at X, because this defender could have jammed up this cut. So one player behind, I think in the long run against really good defensive teams is not great. And we should probably try to integrate a rotation of some kind where somebody else goes behind. But watch how open she gets. And then early in the game, sadly, didn't handle the ball. That would have been a layup. It was such a sweet little read, and it was totally inside the 8. All right, so there's a face guard going on inside. The lefties are sealing down, and we're really honestly here. I told you we were trying to play very deliberately. Normally, we kind of killed a lot of bad teams, and we got in the habit of playing faster than we wanted to. Maybe I can speed this up for us a little bit. But this girl right here with the ball is now at ASU. We bailed out one lefty, and I would have liked to have seen these two girls work together a little bit more. When I do bailouts, I like to have a slip so that we can have a little bit of space. So I bail one out, and then we look to set a pick and slip the pick to create the space if we want to try to get a dodge. But I didn't call any of this. It was just something that we had the ability to do. I also want you to watch the off-ball action here. Okay, so you're going to see this one lefty bailing out, and she's going to go over and seal on the other side right now. You see that lefty bailing, and you see two other girls sealing, and watch the girl being face guarded and literally how open she gets. And her man is like fighting between so much traffic. It made it impossible for her to kind of get there. Our ability to get open off this face guard allowed us to kind of run our offense pretty similarly to how we would have run it anyways. I would say the one downside was we didn't get as much same side 3-man nations looks as we would have wanted. All right, so Cherry Creek was a pretty athletic team, and they're well coached. They started trying to pressure us. And this is something that we worked on a lot. And I'm going to show you some drills that we did, really one main drill that really helped us. But one thing we always said was, if they're going to pressure our swing, then the next player is going to be able to be open on a skipped pass. And that's always true. So honestly, guys, if you're stepping out, and what I would always tell you is don't cut to the ball to get it. Try to receive it out by the hashes, maybe even outside the hashes. And if they pressure our swing, great. We're going to skip it past them, and they're going to be in trouble. So you can see this girl made that read, which is a great read. She's facilitating ball movement, one of the most important reads. But in the end, we didn't really need to do that because that girl was wide open. Watch this action in the 8. Look at this. So this girl is being face guarded, but she seals her man in anyways, well inside the 8. They're pressuring out on her too. And look how open she gets on the curl. Oh my gosh, they didn't see it. Look at how open that is. And notice the bee sting. A bee sting is just a way of just nudging a defender and getting them open. It's a pretty sweet little way of getting open. And I want to show you also that this girl breaks open. She doesn't get it. Okay, she backdoors, and then the ball swings over. I love it. That girl bailed out again. So this is an example of where I feel like we were bailing too much, because I would have rather, you guys, let me just explain something. The bailout is pretty cool because you can isolate, but I'm telling you, a 3-man action is harder to guard and way harder to slide to. And so I taught, this is like where you run the risk of teaching something and then they just do it way too much. They bailed out like on almost every play. I would frankly rather have more 3-man actions. A bailout is fine. How about once every 5 times? You know, if we had played again, I would have been able to probably have explained that a little bit better. Let me just get some questions here. Do these rules in two-man games and seals apply to defenses that run zone and backers? How would these reads change? And, that's going to be another webinar, Kyle. But the answer is mostly the same. It's just that how's the defense playing in zone? They're zoning it. So therefore, seals and slips, which essentially means cuts, are going to be a little bit better than sticking picks, right? But moving the ball, swinging the ball, moving the ball in the middle of two-man games, all incredibly important in both scenarios. Okay, so I am going to go back to the film. If you have questions, feel free to speak up. But you'll see here that we bail out. It gives us a chance to dodge a little bit and draw a double and just make a play. Now, these two are pretty good at their two-man games, but it's actually kind of cool sometimes to just not even do it because she just hung somebody up and was able to get an opportunity to get a shot and a score, and it was a pretty good little play. The other thing I want to show you guys that's an interesting concept that I talk a lot about postures. When you split to one hand, you will draw attention. You will draw sliders. When you can sell with your posture that you're all in on a dodge, it will draw people to you. And it's a really, really good thing to do. That's why splitting to one hand can be a really, really good way to draw two players in on-ball situations and in two-man situations. All right, so we're kind of hanging on to it here a little bit. We got a face guard inside. Normally right here, we probably would have run some kind of a little nations look, same side nations look. Backside, you can see there's the lefty side, there's a seal going on. Again, it's happening too far out. I can't stress it enough. If they would have sealed inside the 8 and learned how to invite their man over, they would have had a million goals. It is so open and it's virtually unguardable. Here you can see they're face guarding one, they bail with another, and our best dodger is able to get to the goal, draw a foul, and we ended up scoring on that play. So the bail is good. I just think we did it too much. As you can see, we started doing it. And you know how it goes. You don't even know, what's happening that well on the other end of the field. Our bench was on the other side. So my eyes suck anyways. I couldn't really even tell. But your ability, when you play so much two-man game and they're so worried about your players, it does leave opportunities to just attack and dodge. Nothing wrong with that. We generally don't tell people you can't do it. We just try to get people to play together and move the ball as much as we can. I would say we didn't move the ball in this game maybe quite as much because of the face guard. And here we go. We bailed it again. We're bailing every damn time here. Watch that girl bailing out. I would much rather have more nations looks going on. But whatever. We drew another foul. We scored a goal on that foul, on that play too. So let's go back. This time it looks like there's another bailout, and our good, really strong, athletic girl who's at ASU scored a goal. So here we are in the second half. That was the first half. I think we're down 2 goals at halftime or something like that. I want to talk about getting open on face guards for a second, you guys. Okay, so watch the posture of this defender. You're going to face you're going to sometimes have somebody face guard you. But I want to explain something. If you simply turn your back to your man and give them a little rocker, you're going to be able to get yourself open on a face guard. Just like you would. I want you to imagine playing basketball, posting up near the lane, faking a spin to the basket and popping out to receive the ball. They're not going to be able to face guard you if you start your action in the 8. They just can't do it. Now, the ball pressure could have been better on ball here. If they were pressuring the crap out of this girl, perhaps it would have been hard for her to get it. But it ended up being pretty easy for us to get the ball. This is a little bit more stagnant than I would have liked, but at least we drew some attention and got the ball moving and ended up, I think, getting some decent looks. But again, what the face guard did do to us was cause us to probably not move the ball as much as possible. But the ball has swung now from the righties to the lefties, back to the righties. And this was an amazing read. And so the thing I'm showing you in this game was, A, this was a big game, and B, even though we didn't necessarily move the ball as quickly as we could and play with a tempo that we might have played with if we had a longer season. But watch the ball go from one side to the other, over to the lefty side. I would have liked to have seen it got low, but one of our lefties was over there. So, all right, fine. Swing it back. Now watch this read right here. Now there's the girl bailing out again. She bailed out every time, but this ended up working out well. Look at the read. She's sealing her man on an up pick. This girl is going under the pick. She hesitates. The hesitation is key. This is why you got to slow down in two-man games. She reads it, and she's able to like literally walk right in and score. So that was pretty good. Again, the reads part is where your upside is, and it's what I want to kind of explain to you guys. Here, there's a little directional posture again. We want to get the ball, run our offense. Girl being shut is inside the 8, gives a little rocker. She gets open and is able to attack off of it and draw a double. Get the ball moving. Our ex-girl sneaks, and that was actually a pretty nice little play right there. To be able to work against a face guard and just kind of play lacrosse. And this was obviously a big game. We're down a couple. Again, I don't love the bailout here. I'd rather have a 3-player or even a 4-player side here. So just bear with me as you understand where I'm coming from on this. But I felt like this was all generally worth watching. The give and goes, guys, is something that we've gotten really good at because we swing the ball so much that we look back naturally, both on different types of fouls, as well as off of our two-man games. So here, we didn't attack from behind that much. We probably should have a little bit more. That girl's pretty good at it, but this is how easy it is to get open sometimes if you just stay tight inside the 8. And have sort of a timely pop out. So this is a little bit more stagnant than I would have liked. So what I would like to see here is probably a swing and a cut. Okay, if you can imagine this Dodger swinging it to one of the lefties. And again, I don't know why we're bailing out every time. I don't even want to bail out. I would so much rather have the other righty down here, so that we can attack top side and throw it back and then cut the picker and then pick for that girl and then come back over the top. So you guys, it's amazing. What the lesson learned here is changing one little thing can completely alter what you do. And in this game, at the time, I didn't really realize how much we were bailing and how much it was having an impact on our offense. Granted, we were able to still win this game, but it made it kind of ugly. We did not have the same side actions that we would have had otherwise. Here's another pretty good little read. They're pushing out on this girl. They're face guarding her. She's got her man sealed in the 8, and they go under the pick again. If she would have hesitated, she would have scored. The difference between this girl and the other 2 that scored on this was she didn't hesitate. All she had to do was stop right here. If she stops right here, she could have invited this player to take a step, and then she's gone. She probably could have scored it anyways, but you guys, I can't stress enough the importance of reading and influencing plays with your changes of speed. Same old thing. Way too much stagnation. Okay. But again, I give the defense credit. They face guarded us. There's our girl bailing out again. Guys, a couple bails is fine, but I would like to have her in here, and so we can work on swinging it and finding these nations looks and getting more ball movement. But again, can't complain too much because we did end up being able to win this game. And it was the first time that our team had made to the state semifinals. And now we start getting the ball moving again. And now you can start seeing where we start having an ability to play a little bit faster. Pretty good job here with fakes though. And I want to sort of point out some of this because this is the stuff that you can't teach, but must be learned. And that is the faking, behind the back fake, the step away, the backhand pumps, the hesitations, the ball movement. And then all of a sudden the ball swings right back, hitch, face dodge, lots of different types of looks. And they all come from the free play model that I'm going to show you guys in a little while. So this ended up being, I don't know, pretty much a defense miscue. I think it was on their part. This girl was a sophomore. How about that shot? I put it in there because it was such a sick twister. By the way, you should definitely get your girls shooting twisters on free position run-ins because the misdirection completely screws up goalies. And it's just such a good little play. Oh, that's another free position that we don't need to watch. There's another bailout. Our offense is going to pieces, but they sent the third player over real quick, which is what they can do when you bail out too much. Pretty good swing here. Guys, I want to ask you a question. How often do you get swing passes that go from outside the hashes to the other hashes? Because the ability to throw this pass is one of the most important parts of the ability to run a great offense. You got to be able to throw a 15 to 18 yard swing just like that. And look how open she got on the give and go here, by the way. Did you guys know, had you ever thought about the fact that number one, every single time you throw a pass, a defender will turn their head and look at it. And so therefore, the longer the pass, the longer the ball is in the air, the more likely you are to get open. That's why these skip swing passes that are 15, 12, 15, 17 yards long, or why skip passes are so effective. That girl's just looking, and look how open she is. If that girl receiving it was ready to give it right back, she's wide open. You can see her like begging for the ball. She's shaking her stick. We've done this a million times. But she wasn't looking for it. That's okay. She's taking care of the ball. The ball gets low. We spread it out a little bit. They bailed out the lefty side again. And this time it kind of paid off for us because this girl is a really good dodger. They sent a double over and she ran right past it, drew a foul, and we were able to get another free position that we scored on. All right. So here, I'm pretty sure we're oh, check this out. This is getting towards the end of the game. Watch again how easy it is to get open if you keep yourself tight. But I'm going to fast forward this a little bit. Bear with me. This is the last possession of regulation. So we are down 1 goal with 2 minutes left. And we knew that if we could get a seal inside the 8, that we were going to be able to score. Shoot, sorry guys. So watch the ball. It swings over in a minute. It swings over to the lefties right here. And I want you to watch. I'm going to back this up. This girl's well inside the 8. She's inside the hashes inside the 8, probably by the tangent of the crease. The seal's coming in. And look at the read on the curl. Guys, I'm telling you, this is virtually impossible to guard. And I want you to watch how slowly she's moving. She's taking baby steps because she's bringing that girl with her. If she ran hard, the girl would meet her on the other side and she would not get open. And that ends up being a tying goal. We end up winning on a free position late. So I'm going to go to, I'm going to come back to video. That was the game video that I wanted to kind of show you guys. And I want to try to answer some questions here. IQ is much harder to teach than learn. That's so true. Does your platform go into drills that help players understand the concepts you're reviewing? Yes. And I'm going to go into those next, Joe. And great point. IQ, you can present it the way I am right now, but you cannot teach it. It must be learned. That's exactly right. And I think there was other questions. Oh, video is frozen. Feed is frozen. Still? Can somebody respond on this? Did you guys lose the feed? All good. It was only one clip. Okay, thanks, Mikey. Now the last goal. Just one clip. So do I need to show that last goal again to you guys? Did you see that or not? Do you want me to show that one last clip? Anybody? Yeah, let's see it. Okay. Tell me if it's still frozen. Can you guys tell me if it's frozen or if it's good? Good now. Okay, good. All right. So what I was showing you was, we knew that with this face guard, we were going to be able to get open on that Steph Curry look, right? So here's Steph Curry, well inside the 8. Here's the seal or the pin down that they call it in hoops. She's sealing in. Watch how patiently this girl invites her over the pick. Do you see that? She's taking baby shuffle steps to ensure that this girl follows her. And then once she goes for it, there's no catching up. And they're not switching, obviously, because they're face guarding. And notice the bee sting. All right, did you guys all see that? Is that good? Okay. Awesome. All right, so I'm gonna show you guys kind of how I got there, and I'm gonna show you guys some drills and some things. For one thing, guys, let's see. There's a couple of videos that should be prerequisites. This one, hang up 2-man, a new paradigm, really, really important. I used to believe that 2-man game was something where you would do stuff like this. These are these same girls as sophomores, but where you would like mix up. That was a swing pick. Okay, you just mix things up. So this girl is an up pick. She comes over, sets a swing pick, and we just kind of keep mixing things up, mixing up, sticking your pick, mixing up, slipping your pick. Seal your own man. That was a good read right there. Do you see that? This is why I say seals are going to happen most of the time, because you can seal your own man and get in the way of the other defender a lot of the time. But this is kind of how we used to work on our 2-man games all the time, 2-on-2, all day long. I don't even know what that was. That was like a seal that wasn't a seal. But you're going to see there's a seal, a pick, a slip, a quick pass. Okay, looks pretty good. I felt good about it back in 2019 when we were doing this. I thought, man, these girls are getting pretty good at 2-man game. That's a nice little repick action. So pick, slip, carry it lower, come back, set it again, roll to the net. These girls are popping BTB feeds. It's good. Okay, but that was all when I was really into thinking about 2-man game in a sort of a different way than I'm thinking about it now. What I used to just think about was, let's try to engage 2 defenders with our postures to allow a roll man to get open. Now, I'm still thinking this, but I've got some different thoughts and I'm going to share it with you. And to understand that if this guy went with the roll man, then he's got the underneath. And if this guy went with the roll man, he's got the top side. If this guy rolls and this guy goes with him, there's no way that this man is going to stop Austin Stotts from going top side. And what I was doing was teaching players how to slow down and read this situation in 2-man game. I'd want to read it all day long. And you can see how beautiful it is. It is just a total thing of beauty. when you engage two. Notice his posture, his down the alley, what I call double threat posture, is completely engaging the low defender. Then his wind up posture is engaging basically both of them, and he's able to slide a feed in through there. So I thought that was just like it, But I also was like, man, this concept of inviting players over picks. This is men's lacrosse, but I'm going to show this clip to you. Do you see that right now, this defender is committing himself to going over this pick? And that this Ohio State Dodger has a straight line to the net, and this Notre Dame defender has a curved line. There is no way that the Notre Dame defender, if he goes over this pick, is going to be able to stay with him. It's not possible. He will be in a permanently trailing position. See what I'm saying on this? Now, we used to learn how to set picks by running people into the pick. We don't want to run somebody into the pick because it eliminates the pick and roll and it makes for an automatic switch. No, what we want to do is invite them over a pick. Andy Shea calls it a right angle pick. He's the one guy of all the coaches that I sort of talked to about this when I was just 2 years ago, right about now, when I was like really kind of learning about all this stuff. He was the only guy that was like, yeah, we do it all the time. And here's an example of Andy Shea with a right angle pick. Look at that. How sick is that? He gave the guy daylight, but look at the angles. He's not running his man into a pick. That'll jam stuff up. It'll jam up the picker. It'll jam up the Dodger into a switch. It'll change a matchup at best, which isn't terrible, but it's not two-man game. That's the difference. Look at this angle. Brandow has a straight line in the net, and his guy has to curve, and there's no way that there's anything they can do about it. So I really thought that this element of two-man game was like where it was at, and we would work on all that stuff. And this is from the summer before. We were working on a lot of this stuff. Here's a few girls up in Niagara on the Lake, Ontario. Some pretty good players here. A bunch of girls that are actually currently playing college lacrosse. And we were working on our two-man games, and it was all good. Two-man. And simultaneously, we started working on various nations looks. So this is in transition, but there's an up pick here, a pass down, a cut, thing of beauty, nations looks. They're so awesome. I don't know if you've ever seen it or worked. I learned this from watching Stony Brook, but we had three righties, so we went with a three righty side, and we were able to get this three righty side nations look in transition, and it was pretty nice. And so we would like run our two-man games. We would run nations looks. What is the key to a nations look, though, guys? The key to a nations look is for one moment, there are two players engaged with the passer. And if they give the ball up in a timely fashion while the picker can cut, the picker ends up wide open because there are two players engaged with the ball during the pass. You remember when I was talking about the incredible important value of moving the ball in the middle of two-man games? I always knew this was the case, and this is kind of how we were, developing and evolving. And I'm going to come back to this reverse nations in a minute. But then this is another webinar, you guys. This is the part 2 to the last one. This is an absolute prerequisite for understanding all of these two-man game reads and options. And this is where the off-ball portion began to be integrated in. And I'm not gonna show this to you guys right now. You guys can check that out later. But the COVID summer of 2020, we spent a month in Narragansett, Rhode Island, playing lacrosse every day on this tennis court, boys and girls playing pickup. And this is where I learned an incredible amount about two-man games. And I just cannot, and how to integrate it into team offense. So you're going to see the ball swings. There's a pick coming. It's kind of a swing pick. And then the ball moves early in the middle of the two-man game. And then bang, there's a nation's look. And you're going to see this going on all the time. This is like a righty playing with me. That's me in the black shirt, blue shorts, picking down for a righty, but it's a repick. I come back, set it again, and he just naturally swings it. And look how open I get on this nation's look. And I started like realizing that this ability to swing the ball and play these swing nations was huge. And then I started to realize that, man, the give and go is so open. If you give it up, watch this. There's a two-man game, pass down, pick down right here. There's a backside action. We're playing a 4-on-4 plus a goalie game, boys and girls. Billy Owen's on this call. There's your girl Josie right there learning how to do it. She seals for me. I pause, give and go, wide open all day. I can't even tell you how open this gets. Watch this guy. That's Owen McElroy, first team All-American goalie at Georgetown right now. He turns his head and looks, and he's thinking there's going to be a switch, by the way. This is weird, you guys. I want to explain something. If I were to dodge this, there's no doubt that this girl, now Leon, plays at Brown, she would have switched it. But because I gave it up, she didn't. I'm telling you, it's so weird. They'll obviously switch on the dodge, but when you pass it, they don't switch. Now, the Owen here is thinking they should have switched that. You're like, Natalie, you should have switched that. Why didn't you switch that? But it's wide open. And the biggest thing, though, is the feeder's got to be looking for it. So right here, that's my daughter, Lucy. She's looking. She knows she'll feed her dad all day long. But so the give and go is so open. Pick. Look at your early give and go. Again, there was no switch. The on-ball defender thought there was going to be a switch. He hesitated. Gone. Wide open. But Leah didn't see it. So I started like really diving into these concepts of engaging two defenders and trying to figure out how to do this. This is off ball. You guys, this is sick. Watch this. This is my buddy Pete Bonanno, stud 2023. He's coming on the up pick. And what I'm doing is selling cut to engage his defender and trying to maintain engagement of my own defender. These are the details of the reads of the part that I didn't show you guys. See how I sold it and stepped back and got him open? As we watch, we're going to watch it again right here. So a little pick slip, nothing there. And now look at how sitting in this pocket of space, I engaged two defenders, opened up the girl right through the middle. The more you can engage. So here, watch this one. This is my daughter, Emily. She plays at ASU. She's coming on the up pick. She's going to end up slipping through it. What I'm trying to do is engage her man with my posture, maintain engagement of my own man with my step back. Okay, so watch. Step back, bang, she's wide open. Okay, so you're asking, how do you learn this stuff? You learn this stuff from these games. I can't stress it enough either. There's so much to be learned. Here's a two-man game situation where watch my posture engage two players. Two players are on me. The lefty rolls to the net. Doesn't quite get open. Here, two players being engaged. Now, back at this point in time, here's a repick. We didn't swing it as well as we could, but the reads are being learned. Engaging two players, understanding how to do that. Look at this seal right here, you guys. This is 6. Pass down, seal down. She goes right over the top, and the girl in white seals off, and that girl scores a goal. So easy. It's so easy. This boy right now, he played all fall of 2019 with all girls. He's currently at Brown, and he's a really, really nice player. Now, what I wasn't doing as much of back at this time was swinging it, but you're asking me how you learn how to do these reads. You learn from playing in these scenarios. So I'm going to show you this, okay? This was during COVID. We had our family unit of 5. There's mama feeding on the righty side. Me and Colin, my son, he's at Georgetown. We're playing the lefty side against Emily and Lucy. And we don't have a goalie in because we only had 5 of us and we needed a feeder. But what we were working on was figuring out how to play off-ball 2-man games. So this was like in April of 2020. I want to show you guys something. Watch this, okay? Watch how I looked this pass off and Lucy didn't even know I had it. And how receivers in football sometimes pretend like the ball's not coming to them. That's what I did right there. And she turned her head around. That was like the ultimate gotcha fake on the off ball. But watch the action. So Colin Seals for me, I am right now trying to engage 2 players. I'm trying to engage Lucy and Emily. Colin slipping through the middle. When he cuts, he ends up wide open because they were both engaged. And so how do you learn this stuff? By playing pickup games and just playing. And you see the postures that I'm using here? Selling right, selling left, stepping, pulling. By me pulling back right there, I made Lucy come to me, which opened up Colin all the way through. So you guys, I want to show you something right here. You can engage the switch with this posture. You can keep your man engaged with that posture. That's how you do it. If you can get 2 players on you, it's so off the charts. It's actually crazy. Not many people are doing that though. All right, so moving on. And let's see, we got another question here from Joe. No, from Coach Joyce. Sorry for the question, Jamie, but seal is a pick of your own man. Yeah, a seal is a pick of your own man, or you could conceivably seal a zone, but it's kind of the same thing, right? Because if they're guarding you in a zone, then it's kind of like your own man. But yeah, that's what a seal is. Okay, guys, you want to know a drill to do? Do this one. This is a 3-on-3 consecutive nations. So you're going to see those are the same 3 girls that were running our righty side. And this is the kind of ball movement that I wish I could have shown you. And I have in other clips, but I wanted to show you that Cherry Creek game because it was such a good game for us. But watch how the ball gets dumped down on a nation's look and like, okay, fine. It got open. I really didn't want them feeding it on the first one. Here's an up pick nations and roll to the net. Now there's another nations going on. Dodger, picker, feeder. Watch, she throws it back to the 3rd feeder. Now there's another nations going on. Right here, picker, dodger, feeder. She throws it back and we cut. And now there's another nations going on. Picker, dodger, feeder. And she looks for it. And now there's going to be another nations going on. This is consecutive nations looks. There's an up pick nation, dodger, picker, feeder. Another one, dodger, up, pick and roll, bang. So guys, do you see how the girls literally right there after this dodger, picker, feeder, dodger, picker, feeder. They figured out dodger, picker, feeder. So this is a lot like keep away, guys. The reason why we're doing this though is so that we can master our same side nations looks, because when you do, I don't want the ball on one side this long, okay? But I want them. This is the key. This is so important. I'm gonna pause here for a second. You really want your players to be able to think quickly and realize dodger, picker, outlet. And then when the ball moves and a cut happens, there's a new picker, there's a new dodger, there's a new outlet. And then the ball moves again, a new picker, a new dodger, a new outlet. That is what we're looking for. And to learn how to teach them how to think ahead and think quickly. The other advantage, guys, honestly, is When you can run really good same side nations looks, it gives more time for all those incredible off ball seal looks and slip looks. It's honestly, it's so off the charts. Okay, so that is a really, really good drill. This one we do also. This is a 3-on-3 with a feeder over here where we're going to set a pick down and see how we made a pass right in the middle of a two-man game. This is so important, guys. This is right back to one of the most important concepts. This girl has 2 players engaged. The ball carrier has 2 players engaged. And if that picker would have slipped it instead of picked it, she would have been wide open. If she slips right through that gap, she's wide open because the girl with the ball got her open with that pass. That is the whole key. So, our 3-on, you know how I was telling you guys earlier, like, this is how I used to think. Well, I used to do 2-on-2s. I got to tell you, I wouldn't do 2-on-2s without a feeder on the other side ever. Because why? I don't even want to look for a 2-man game. I don't want to look for a pick and roll. We're going to turn it over if we do that. I want to swing it and get a nation's look, a give and go, or take advantage of the ball movement. Look, when a wide open 2-man game happens, fine, go for it. But most of the time, it just kills your offense when you spend all that time looking for it. What I really want is this right here. Then she gets it. I don't even love the look. The reason why she wasn't that open was because the girl picking didn't slip it. She picked and rolled. And that's okay. You know what? I don't even care. I don't care that she wasn't that open. I care more that this lefty shouldn't have fed it. This is an example of feed selection. It seems open. It's okay. If she's wide open, I'll take it, but she's not. What I'd rather do is get back to running our offense. And that's really what the point of this, the gist of this drill is run a 3-man side, swing it in the middle of a 2-man game. If it's wide open, feed it. If it's not, swing it back and let's run more actions. So let's take a look at it. Swing pick, pass down, pick down, 2 seals, pass, cut over the top. Okay, nothing's there. We facilitate a swing back. And now these girls are running away. See how this girl is like running away. She should have been reading this swing and facilitating the next play. But that's why my #1 rule was facilitating ball movement during 2-man games. Like right now, this girl should have been seeing we're swinging it. We're getting ready to attack on this side again. She was ready. She was ready. She was not. She didn't think quickly enough, but okay. And that's why the ball ended up turning over. So let's run it back again. So let's watch our lefties. This is a cool little action. These guys are doing pretty good, but I would have liked to have swing that. This girl's dodge, dodge, dodge all day long. I'd much rather see her swing that across and get the give and go than the dodge. Couple opportunities. This probably should have been a seal right here. Good swing, but not a great read, so nobody really got open. What do I mean by that? Well, if she seals right here and she carries over the top, remember that invite them over the top Yale thing I was telling you about? It's better off the give and go than it is off the dodge because they can't double the give and go. You can't rotate to it. You see how this girl right here runs hard and her man's going under the pick? She should be stepping back. This is going on in the 8, but she goes too fast. If you go too fast, your man will meet you right on the other side. So in this 3-on-3 plus a feeder drill, we're working on swinging the ball. Let's get it back over to the righties. These righties were a little bit more advanced. So a lot of cuts. Oh, hold on a second. No, that's a second group. Hold on. Let me get the first group back in. All right, here's the first group. So pass down, pick down. Look at that swing right in the middle of a 2-man. Look at the give and go. Look how open it is. Watch this pass right here. See how early she gave it up? Now, what I would have liked to have seen her do, the issue here was that this girl on ball, this picker right here, slipped when the man was clearly playing fight over the top defense. If she would have given her a little bee sting, this give and go would have been wide open. The reason why it didn't end up being that open was because the picker made the wrong read. All right. So that's 3-on-3 plus a feeder. And then this is maybe the ultimate environment to learn how to play. And this is a 5v5 keep away inside about a 15-yard by 15-yard space in which we're picking on ball, we're pressuring the ball, we're learning how to re-square up. I'm gonna, the film gets a little better here. Give me a sec. And we're sealing off ball. So look at this right here. You see this? How do you learn how to seal this? To me, this is the best way to learn. So here's an on-ball two-man game. And look at the seal going on right here. See that? See that seal? And do you see how she gets over and picks off two players? This is what you can learn how to do in this drill. Seal your own man, read it. And you can manufacture that look all day. All right, guys, I'm going to answer some questions now, and I'm going to kind of call it a night because it's been a long time. Would a bee sting be a legal movement in women's lacrosse? Well, moving picks are legal. They're not illegal. Did you know that? There's no such thing as a moving pick in women's lacrosse. A blind pick is what's illegal. You see moving picks in women's lacrosse all the time. Constantly. You're allowed to actually get right in the way. What you're not allowed to do is creep up behind somebody and set a blind pick. So therefore, you never know how they're going to call. Let's just say that. But the fact of the matter is that the answer is there's no such thing as a moving pick. So if it's not blind, what's the problem? You guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please let me know if you have questions right now and you want to chat. From Coach Joyce, Jamie, your stuff is amazing. Thanks very much, Andrew. I appreciate it very much. Any other questions, comments from anybody? Did you guys like this format of just using video and not using a presentation? Was it okay? I did it because last time I did a presentation, I feel like the video wasn't as clear. So I'm hoping it was okay with you guys. From Claire Hansen, Lac Scientist, thank you. From Grant, thank you. Thank you, everybody. And if you got more questions, I can hang out for a couple minutes here. This is great. Video is hard to follow at times, but better than nothing. Yeah, sorry, Joe. It can be a little bit. Video might be bigger. It didn't have your handsome mug on the right. Yeah, that's a good point, Andrew. Thank you. Let's see. Really appreciate it. Get more girls across on the agenda. Love last year when you had tumult. I will. I promise you, Jamie Watson, I will definitely have more girls across going. Promise you that. Couldn't be more passionate about it. Learned so much, and I've got so much great more content coming. How do you dumb it down for beginners? From Joe. Joe, the way you dumb it down for beginners is you just play pickup games. And you play like a 3x game, which is like a 3-on-2 version of the game. Literally, you guys, can I tell you something that's unbelievable? One of the girls that was in a million of those clips, she played on the lefty side. She's one of our best athletes. She started playing lacrosse in March of 2020. She is currently a scholarship athlete at ASU. She started playing lacrosse as a junior in high school and literally played pickup at my house about 100 times after lockdown through the COVID summer and the COVID fall into the beginning of normalcy, but semi-COVID winter of last year. She's a freak athlete, but she became a great lacrosse player from playing pickup. And I can't stress it enough, you guys. Those pickup games, it's where I've learned everything as a player, as a coach, and I've watched a lot of video. I mean, like I should be in the Guinness Book of World Records for watching free play on video because I watch all the time with the athletes I work with. But you guys, the athletes that do this, they get so much better. It's insane. It truly is. So thank you all for coming on. If there's any more questions, feel free to ask, but you can also email me anytime. How much to go over the video? How much do you go over video with them? Well, with my high school team, my question is, how much do I go over video with my athletes? What I did was I just had a text chat and I would send them 5 to 10 videos, a day after practice. With the pickup game, I work with a lot of boys and girls individually. You guys, I started doing Zoom calls in 2017 before anybody knew what Zoom was. And I would watch videos with athletes and I would watch free play videos. And everybody would be like, dude, what's Zoom? That's kind of weird. But now everybody knows what Zoom is. So long story short, I watch, once a week with the athletes I work with, I generally watch videos. I think that's all of our questions. Thank you so much for coming on. Couldn't be more excited about the future of women's lacrosse. And thank you for listening. All right. And have an awesome day. Thanks.